Welcome to the Maria Heller Show, on the net since 2000 and still going strong. If you feel like you're not getting the real news, if you feel like you're not connected spiritually, you have found your home. Maria covers a wide range of topics as only a snarky New Yorker can. Straight up, no chaser. No censorship, no corporate sponsors, thus true freedom of speech. Your subscription gives you unlimited access as a member of the smartest audience on earth. Relax and enjoy the education. Now here's Maria.
Good morning, world. Maria here, alive and kicking. Welcome to Awaken with Meria and Monnica. And Monica's sounding so much better, so I want to thank everybody out there that's been sending her good energy and healing energy. Because we're all in this together, and there's power in numbers, and there's power in concentration as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to thank everyone too, Maria. I'm sorry you didn't introduce me properly, but I have to just interject that I've always believed, having originally Christian background, I'm more of a spiritualist now and non-denominational, but I've always believed that where two are gathered in quote unquote His name, it shall be done. Meaning that that's something that I learned as a child, and that means that when we pray to love, the source of love, and there's more people that are together, that congregate together to focus on one individual or several, what happens is that shall be done, which means that you receive the objective that you wanted to receive, which was healing. And since this bug has been nasty, it kicks your butt. Everyone in my family got sick. Everyone has had it in their chest, and I didn't end up. It didn't go to my chest. It was a head cold that I had, and little by little, I'm getting stronger. And the thing that I was concerned with is that because I have a history in the past of bronchitis, I didn't want to get that again. I'm too busy. I don't have time for this, So I really appreciated you letting your listeners know to send me some healing, and I got some emails as well. With some
great
recommendations and stuff. I love when people do that. Take this, take that, do this.
Absolutely.
You feel cared about.
Of course, and we all want to feel that way for sure.
Especially those of us who care for others constantly.
Well, sometimes we forget to care for ourselves, and that's something I have to remind my students of a lot.
Yeah.
And other people that are in healing arts and whatnot. And, it's also a matter of learning how to turn yourself off while you're healing somebody else, so you don't get affected by what they have. This weekend I just had a new Reiki student, and she's just doing fabulous with it. And when I ask my students to send somebody energy, it works. And that's something that's always been available to my listeners, because I like sending long distance healings. Then that's free. All they have to do is send me a note, let me know what's going on. I'm happy to do it. By healing others, sometimes you can heal yourself as well.
Exactly.
Right, but when we talk about the power of numbers and the power of focus, Monica, I have to tell you, I actually witnessed that only twice in my life personally. Many years ago, I was a big hockey fan when I lived in New York. And I remember at one point, this one hockey player was trying to break his own record. His name was Mike Bossy, and he was with the New York Islanders. And we were there at the Nassau Coliseum in New York, which held about 60,000 people. And this guy had achieved the impossible. He had 5 minutes to get 3 goals, okay? I can tell you that all 60,000 people were as quiet as a titmouse, focusing on this guy. And he gets one in, bing, everybody's all excited, right? He's got about a minute and a half left. So, what are the chances? Boom, at like a minute left, he gets another one in. Everybody was so quiet and so focused. The air was electric. If I had an electrical appliance and just plugged it into the air, it would have worked. The guy's got about 15 seconds left. Bingo, he slams it in, okay? Everybody was so excited. The entire Coliseum jumped up at the same time. When our feet landed, we actually shook the Coliseum. So I was like, that. Wow, talk about the power of focus and the power of mass mind. 60,000 people helped this guy create a miracle. The only other time I witnessed that, when I got really lucky, I think it was like 1975, 1976, And last minute, my husband and I scored tickets to see Elvis live.
Oh.
I can tell you that the energy in that theater before that guy came out was so electric. It was a wonder none of us got electrocuted. I mean, I had never seen anything like it. The audience responded to him at the same time. I mean, it was just, the power of the, mass mind.
It's unbelievable. You know, and I just got the idea yesterday. I was writing to one of my clients in New Zealand because of, what had happened there. And I was saying, what the power that we each individually have, how do we bring it together so that everybody sends love to this planet at exactly 12 noon their time zone? Mm-hmm. How do we get that? I thought, make a video, put it on social media, get it viral, so that everybody's getting the message, because there's more of us than the negativity on this planet.
Absolutely.
It's shifted. So when you're talking about that focus, hey, listen, I know about that focus too, because I scored Beatles tickets in 1966 in row 2 for their last concert ever. The Beatles, this is the Beatles, and I took pictures of them in my video, and it ended up in Ron Howard's film last year. So I know about that feeling that you got. Plus, of course, my Warriors. I love my team. First place in the NBA. But Stephen Curry shot one from 75 feet yesterday with 1 second left after the first quarter. We ended up losing the game, but still watching something like that, you're like, crap.
Right. Well, there are a lot of groups that do that. They hold that space for world peace. There are a lot of groups that do that. Every day. I can't offhand remember. I know one is a World Peace Organization, another one is a women's organization, but it reminds me of those Buddhist monks that, when they chant together, how they affect their own country, how they affect the planet. So there's power in numbers, and, that's partially why I do my show, to let people know they're not alone.
Right.
And I think...
you know what, Maria, can I interrupt you for a second? Because I need to interview you, because people don't know how great you are. You have your show, and it's politically based, but people don't really know the spiritual side of you that much until we do a show together. Then we really focus on solutions. Do you mind if I do this? Because I have to ask the question.
Go right ahead.
Is that okay?
Sure, why not?
So, this is not scripted, you guys. This is like, I'm not prepared. I'm just like going by what I'm receiving intuitively. Maria does her radio show, and she's probably the best I've ever heard, because she tells it like it is. And I also feel that Maria is probably one of the best readers I've ever met in my entire life. I mean, and I've been at this for 47 years. She's so good, and when you're listening to her, you're getting information about political stuff, but when you get a reading from her, you're getting information about yourself and what you can do to better your life, to manifest your best life, to have the things that you want, to look at what's in your way, how to get rid of what's in your way. And she's very solution-oriented. And yes, she does the predictions. And listen, it's work. We have homework to do. When we do readings for people, because she's read for me several times, and I know that there's work that has to be done. It's not just like waving a magic wand and it's going to happen in your life. If you want, like I always say, the source of love, which some people call God, the source of love, will always say yes to whatever it is we choose. So what story are we telling ourselves about ourselves? Mm-hmm. We have to watch the way we talk to ourselves and think about ourselves, because that's where it all begins. And Maria is very smart enough to know that she can see the blocks intuitively of what's in your way, and she can tell you, do this, 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 and this, and this. You remove those blocks, and guess what happens? The things that you want to happen. So the story we tell ourselves about ourselves is number one. It's very key. That source of love always says yes to whatever choice we make, even though it's a bad choice for us. So what does that tell us? We have to start looking more towards the right brain, which gives us information. The right brain is connected to that source of love. It's connected to the heart. But the right brain, people don't listen to it because it's a hunch or a gut feeling. It's based on no facts except a feeling. But yet that feeling can't lie to us. It can only tell us the truth. Right, Maria?
Absolutely.
So what happens here is that, a lot of people go back and they go, but what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this, they talk themselves out of stuff, which means they go right back to the left brain. So before I ask any questions, Maria, I just wanted to say, if you want to activate the right brain, all you have to do is shift a lot of your weight on when you're standing in line. Just shift your weight to the left side. Start picking up things with your left hand. Start doing left-handed things, because the right brain controls the left side of the body. That's the easiest thing in the world you can do. Put your socks on with the left one first, then the right one. So when you do this, then you're going to start connecting more to that. What I call it is like the voice, but it's not like the voice in your head, because that's schizophrenia. So it is a feeling of a sound. Like I can say, listen to the sound of the ocean now. You can hear it. Yep, that's what it sounds like. And that's actually telepathy. And the more exercises you do the better you'll get. That's the key. Now, that'll save you a lot of time, because this is a very important piece of free information that I just gave you. People pay me a lot of money to learn these things, but I wanted to give it to you because it's so simple, and yet people don't do it. So, Maria, what is your outcome when you're doing a reading for a person? Because I just basically told them what the outcome is that you have, because I've had readings from you before, and you've freaking blown my mind. So when you talk to someone, they call you for the first time, and believe me, she's extremely affordable. Believe me. When you talk to someone, like, what is the process, the beginning, the middle, the ending? What is your outcome going to be in your mind?
Well, my outcome is always going to be the same. It's going to be to give them the best direction they can have based on the plan they laid out for themselves before they came to this planet. So in other words, I look at their Akashic records, I see what they came in to do, I see how far along they've gotten, if they still want to do that, how to achieve it. Yeah. And, it's not just limited to that. I mean, sometimes I get people that have entities stuck to them. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy things. And people used to always ask me, well, how does this work? And I'm like, I don't know. It just works, so I don't fix it. Okay. It's just something that, it comes to me, and I've had this since I was a little girl. But, one of the things that I find, like even with my new student this weekend, first of all, she was a beautiful woman. I knew she was going to do really well with her Reiki attunement, because she's so gifted. She just needs to learn how to use her gifts, and she's so happy she found me to teach her. But, I looked at her and I said, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm the most unlikely guru that God has ever put on the face of the earth. Okay.
And we all know what guru stands for, G-U-R-U.
Right. So, but, she accepts me for who I am. And, when I talk to her a little bit about the show, which of course she's going to subscribe to, I said to her, listen, this is how it started out.
Everybody should subscribe to your show.
Absolutely. And I told her, you don't have to listen to the news, but here's the way that it rolls for me, Monica, because a lot of people can't understand how I can do both things because they see them as opposites. The truth of the matter is they're not opposites. In the 1980s, when through, many different coincidences, we'll call it, none of them were coincidence, it was direction by spirit, I got to meet Sun Bear. And Sun Bear changed my entire life. So I'm getting ready, I'm all excited, I had already read his magazines, his books, and I'm going to actually do a 3-day weekend with him. And my expectations from reality, and I always teach my students, expectations always lead to disappointment, was he was going to be, just up there, teaching about the medicine wheel, was going to be purely spiritual, etc., etc. Well, was I surprised? I sat in that audience, and here's a man who is as humble as could be, as regular a guy as could be, and I'm expecting we're going to talk about Native American spirituality, the medicine wheel, all this good stuff, which we did. However, what he did do was he covered everything going on in the news all over the planet. Then he covered everything going on environmentally all over the planet. Then he talked about diet. Then he talked about walking in a sacred manner. Then he got to the spiritual part. And one of the things he had said to me a long time ago is, remember that every student takes on the gift of their teacher. And of course, looking at him covering everything from conspiracies to you name it, I was in my head at that time, it was so long ago, saying, yeah, there's no way that's going to happen. Okay. But what he said basically is you can't study spirituality, or especially the medicine wheel, which teaches you your interconnectedness to all living things, without knowing every single thing going on this planet. So to him, it was one and the same. And, since July, this coming July, I'll start my 20th year of doing the show online. I would say that it was probably about, think about it, maybe 15 years in, when one day I realized, wow, I'm doing everything Sun Bear did.
Exactly. There's an old saying that said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Right.
That's how I think of you. Even the people that are coming to you now, it's their time. Everybody has a different time frame, but if you listen deeply to your heart and your right brain, you'll be able to recognize how valuable what Meria does and what she offers is, it's like I said before, that, the universe, spirit, source of love, God, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't care. It says yes to everything that we're thinking about and feeling about. But, we have free will in this world, and it doesn't care whether you plant flowers in your garden or fruit. It's going to grow it. So think about that.
Right.
And when you're listening to the right brain, it wants you to advance. It gives you guidance. It gives you the messages. The left brain gives you a lot of why you can't do it. I call it the troublemaker and the white noise, because it actually negates. It's so negative. And then people look at that instead because we've been overly educated and they've taken away so much of the curriculum that has to do with creativity. So we have to in ourselves, and like Meria teaches how to open up that right brain, how to utilize things such as healing, which is so important, not only to ourselves first, but then giving it to others. Because when we heal ourselves and put ourselves at the top of our priority list, guess what happens? There's more of us to give. Maria's a giver. Meria, it will teach you how to do that for yourself. But her predictions are unbelievable. She's so right on. And even when we have free will, she pegs it really, really, really close. I know, because I've had 3 readings from her in the last few years. Once a year I do it. Meria, when you're talking to your clients and they call you back, let's say, for a follow-up, because I've always believed that people should buy readings in packages. One reading I don't think is enough, especially at this time in history, because so much is changing and we're constantly being fed a lot of negative crap. And I believe that when it tends to trigger emotions or reactions from us, whether they be anger or frustration or disappointment or just feeling sadness. Mm-hmm. I believe that these are all triggers, and I think that one of the things Meria does is she's able to pinpoint, well, that just triggered this reaction from you that came from this event that happened to you like 20 years ago.
Right.
So she'll go right back to the cause, because the cure is in the cause.
Right. Well, years ago, I had a lot of friends that were in the counseling business, and one of them comes to mind. He was a forensic psychologist. The man was extremely gifted. His spirituality allowed him to not only treat his patient, but to be able to split and go into the dreams of his patients with them and run sessions. But every now and then he, like other therapists I worked with, and psychologists and people, dietitians trying to get their clients straight. When they hit a wall, they would send their client to me. And I remember at one point, this doctor in Tucson said, Meria, I just can't cut through to this woman's issue. He says, I'm sending her to you for the 1-2 punch. And that's what he used to call it, the 1-2 punch. So I had one session with this woman that he was trying to get through for so long, and I picked up a very harmless, you would think it was a very harmless issue that happened to her. But I saw when she was 5 years old, she got a brand new bicycle, and through punishment of some sort, her father took the bicycle away. And that was what was still bothering her in her 40s, okay? But he couldn't hit on that. So I called him back and I said, okay, here's what happened. I said, I know it sounds stupid, but you're going to want to go through her 5th year with her. Because a lot of times these doctors will spend, they'll go through your whole life before they hit on the year that issue actually happened to you. Mm-hmm. And of course, she didn't remember it when he brought it up, but then she talked to her brother and he absolutely remembered it. So she was able to heal from that. And some people would say, well, it wasn't like she got molested or this and that. Listen, trauma is different for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm happy to do that, but I used to say, I need your 1-2 punch on this.
Yeah, well, that's you, and I love that about you. The thing is that a lot of the people, really, once you've heard the noise, then immediately start doing something about so it doesn't react, you don't react from it. But if you do react to it, that's an old trigger, it's an old memory from the past, and all you need to do is thank it for coming up, bless it, in your own way by saying, I fill you with love and I let you go.
Right.
Because you don't want to send negativity to this planet.
Of course
but that's
not.
what's going on a lot right now is a lot of triggers are triggering people's old stuff because love heals anything unlike itself. I mean, love heals anything unlike itself. Love brings, oh gosh, listen to me. Hello, head cold. Love brings up anything unlike itself to be healed. And that's something I heard from Terry Cole Whitaker, who used to have her own TV show back in 1983. I loved her. And I never forgot that particular statement because love is so powerful that it just washes out.
Right.
And it brings up all the shadows and the dark energies. And those things can be, they can be stuck to your thigh, or your toe, or what, but it's there. And it brings it up so that we can let it go. So instead of saying, oh, no, I'm starting to worry again, say, oh, good, thank you for coming up, worry. I needed to know that you were still there. Now I'm going to change you to its opposite, which is faith.
Right.
I'm going to replace faith and love. And so I believe that you're onto this, Maria. You understand where the origin of something or the genesis of something. And once you pinpoint that, whether a person's conscious or not, trust her because she knows what she's talking about. And once you understand it, then you can let it all go. I know people think you have a blessed life, and oh, Monica, I wish I was in your shoes, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
You don't want to be in my shoes. Like, I remember when I was very young, there was an anecdote told me, if you go into this room full of crosses, let's say, as a representative of suffering, and isn't that twisted? But anyway, so, pick the smallest cross that you have, and that's yours. And there was all these huge problems and stuff, and people, I didn't understand that until I went to Auschwitz, that in fact there's people that really suffered there, and I was able to get perspective, and I even brought some pebbles home, which I wasn't supposed to do, but I did, and I have them in my bedroom, so I can see that, no matter what's going on in my life, there were people that had it worse.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to be grateful for this. I'm going to welcome it, and I'm going to let it go, and I'm going to heal myself, because you don't want to all that crap.
Right.
We carry stuff from past lives, too.
Oh, of course. Absolutely. And sometimes
like Maria,
those issues are affecting you in this life and you don't even know it. And that's,
Maria can pinpoint what's going on in past incarnations that you need to look at this time. Because a lot of people, they take the victim route. Yeah, I went through a lot of crap in my life, and I don't want to talk about it. It's in my book. But I got to tell you that sometimes we have to pay the karmic wheel.
Right.
And once we do that, there's this divine grace, so to speak, that allows us to be able to move forward instead of being the victim. Look what happened to me. My saying is, look what happened for me.
Right. Right. Well, sometimes when I'm reading for people, especially people that have disease or, serious ailments, I can look and see whether they're supposed to have it or not. And, most of the time when I read for people, they're not supposed to have that disease. So I know then I can counsel them on how to get rid of it. But sometimes you're always going to see it where it is karmic and it's something they chose, even though it doesn't make sense in this reality that you would choose something like that. But they chose it to experience it for payback for whatever reason, there is. And even knowing that, just knowing whatever it is a comfort to people. And, when I'm doing my work, whatever work I'm doing, whether I'm teaching the wheel, whether I'm doing Reiki, whether I'm blasting out the news, everything I do comes from a place of love. Even if I sound like a raving lunatic. That's the package I'm in. I'm an Italian-American woman from New York. The way I see you is that when you're telling the news the way you are, you're actually healing people because they're understanding it. Instead of it being fear-based, you're telling the truth, and therefore it actually brings comfort to my mind when I listen to you, and I know that other people feel the same way as well. I believe this. When Maria offers such an amazing work, her life's work, her radio show, her readings, my gosh, you're investing in yourself. Not in her, you're investing in yourself. I've spent thousands of dollars in education and information to learn because I knew I wanted to bring out a good product. She's done the same thing. So when you invest in yourself, you can take that money that you would get, let's say a subscription for her show or get a reading and buy like a meal. It'll buy you a meal, 2 meals, and then it's gone. We waste so much money on stuff that's external. And
And if we took the time to invest inside ourselves, like getting a reading from Maria or subscribing to her radio show, that lasts for a long, long time.
Yes, it does.
It's life-changing. I don't know why people don't make that connection. You're not investing in her, you're investing in yourself.
Absolutely.
And aren't you worth that?
Well, like I said, it's mostly, look, I've said it for a long time. I'm only here for my soul group. So I know that everybody listening is a member of my soul group. And that's what I came in to do. Find them, educate them, wake them up, and get them ready to get the hell out of here and never come back here. Anyway, we do have some questions from listeners that I want to get into. It kind of fits in with what we're talking about. But even before I get to that, here we are in the middle of, I got to tell you, one of the worst Mercury retrogrades I've seen in a long time.
Oh, okay. In my first house. How do you think I ended up getting sick after 15 years of not getting sick?
I mean, I have seen and heard horrors going on with people that are so, all right, you expect a certain amount on a retrograde, but this one is literally driving people crazy.
Okay. And it's in Aries. No, it's in Pisces. Sorry, it's in Pisces. So it's affecting people emotionally.
Right. I've had more people show up knocking on my door having a nervous breakdown. Okay. One of my friends, he's like, my grandma's having a nervous breakdown. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? People, calling me, whatever. You need to understand, sometimes just understanding that this is a planetary event, you can kind of not freak out so much from it. Mm-hmm. Which I think is another reason to really, pay some attention to astrology,
And this too shall pass because it doesn't last longer than 3 weeks, so.
Well, this one's going till the 28th, and then it'll linger for a day or two. So I have some new projects I want to put into motion, and I was talking to some people that I want to get involved with, and I says, I'm not doing anything until April. So they can look at me like I'm crazy. I try to explain to them what the Mercury retrograde is, but I learned a long time ago, this is not a time to start anything new.
No, you don't, because it's short-termed and you have to do a redo. And if you know your astrology chart, you can get it done online for in 30 seconds it comes up. You just need to know, putting your name and your birth date and the city you were born and the time you were born, and it brings it up in 30 seconds. If you see where which house Pisces rules in your chart, you can see which house is going to affect you. So for me, it was the first house, has to do with health and self and stuff. And hello, look what happened. Right.
Right.
I did it for another good friend of ours that we both know, my friend David Icke, who had issues with Australia. And actually, I said, it's in your 5th house. You need to go home. And he was temporarily banned from Australia, and he ended up going back to the UK. But that's where the Mercury retrograde fell. So it's very real. This is not made up stuff. This is stuff that people study who are actually billionaires study the Mercury retrograde. And it's very real. So don't take it lightly. Do a little study on your own. Knowledge is power.
But it is a great time to do what I like to call a life review. It's a time for reflection, a time to review. You can, think of some planning that you want to do, but it's just the season of spring, on the medicine wheel. It's not time for everything to start growing out of the ground yet. Okay. Mm-hmm. But it's that, think of yourself as a little seed in a pod getting ready to burst out on the scene. Although tomorrow is supposedly the first day of spring, so we're almost there, or as Chauncey the gardener said in that movie, in the spring there will be growth.
Oh yeah, and this is the right time to plant pots.
Exactly. All right,
I live in California, and we're allowed 6 plants, so I don't smoke it. I just make medicinal topical remedies for it, like oils and salves.
It's legal here, and I will tell you that I do smoke it for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
But I prefer to vape it.
One of the things that Maria offers on her show and through her readings is it's all healing. It's all getting back to perspective, stop the wrong thinking, stop telling the story to yourself about yourself that's wrong, because the truth about who we are is that we're love, period. And when we're love and we know that, we stay in a place of peace and harmony, and then we can send that love out to other people to help them, because we're all connected. We're all interconnected. So my feeling is that, your show does not oppose what you do when you're reading. You're helping people understand and heal, and you're giving them tools.
Well, and I like to think that I also like to think that my knowledge of the world, or my knowledge of the world markets, et cetera, also gives me an edge reading for people, especially people that want to relocate to different countries, want to make investments. They don't really know what they're doing. So it's kind of like, I feel like this, this eagle soaring above the whole planet, just looking at everything. Before I started getting into politics, which wasn't my choice, it was basically spiritual direction. I was always an environmentalist. I was always an animal lover. I was always a spiritual teacher. So this was just, believe it or not, this was the Johnny come lately part, was backing into all, when Spirit said you need to cover politics, I was like, no, anything but that. But that was when Bush Jr. was running for office. And as an environmentalist, I knew that would be the end. Because they certainly weren't environmentalists, and we certainly don't have any since. And I knew that timing-wise, I had no choice but to back into politics because the world calls for it. Anyway, I have
your breath of fresh air. Your interpretation of what's going on is accurate, and nobody else will say it because they always say, "Well, it may mean this or it may mean that." Bullshit. Well, this is what it is.
Well, I call it the way it is because I've already seen the future. So, it's easy for me to see through the BS.
How can you see the future? Have you ever had that question? How do you know? Well, you know what? If you watch TV, which is a medium, and it's New Year's Eve, and you tune in 18 hours earlier, you're going to see that New Zealand or Australia already just received, they hit the midnight mark, and it's the next day for them. So we're actually looking into the future using the medium of TV. And when I talk to people on Skype, they're talking to me, and I'm in their past because I'm 18 hours earlier.
Right.
So how are we able to do that? We do the same thing. We're able to see it in advance. We're able to see it from behind because it's non-existent. Time is non-existent. It's all happening in the now. So if you have a hard time understanding that, just think about when you watch TV and you're looking at something that's happening.
Absolutely. Or as David Icke talks about in his books, and which is one of the main reasons for people getting their Reiki attunements, is when he talks about becoming multidimensional. When you truly become multidimensional, then you do see all the other timelines going on around you, almost like that screen from The Matrix. Where you can kind of tap into different energies, where you can type into different fields, different rays. So anyhow, we're going to take a short break, but when we get back, I have some questions from listeners that are pretty darn interesting, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Monica Sepulveda of Wake Up with Meria and Monnica. You can hear us every second Tuesday of the month. We offer you solutions and tools to help raise your own vibratorial frequency. And as we stay in this light of love, we shift ourselves and the planet shifts by itself. No reason to react to the negativity that's going on this planet when we're all so powerful. So why not use it every morning when you wake up? Actually, I'm doing this promotion for selfish reasons. I just got to tell you that Maria is probably the best. No, I know. She's the best intuitive reader I have ever met in my life, and she's underpaid. Check out her prices and check out mine. There's differences. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm a medium. I contact people who've passed on. But this woman is incredibly accurate with her predictions. I've never met anybody so gifted. She's so wonderful as a friend, and I'm humbled to be on her show. Thank you so much, Maria. Sorry I had to plug you here, but I just have to brag about you. You're that good. Take care, everyone, and make it a great day. Bye.
Hi, this is Maria Heller. If you're enjoying this show, please consider listening to the rest of it, along with hundreds of other hours of education, by a small subscription on my site. Get over to meria.net, meria.net. You are the only thing that supports this show. There's no corporate control, and there's plenty of education on site. So please consider either a subscription or a donation to keep the work going. There are too many alternative voices out there that are being silenced because of lack of support. So if you don't want MSM to be the only mind-controlling news out there, please consider supporting the people that support you and help us all save something for the future for our children. Thank you so much.